Welcome everyone's Glacier Guide. Rock the Glacier as always. It's the 14th of March 2024 and we got a studio update, so let's kind of get into it. We're going to talk about some models that we painted, and we're going to talk about some Warhammer news, and then maybe get into a little bit of gaming news, and we're going to try to get this under 10 minutes, so let's see if we can do that. Alright, let's go. So, starting off with the Steel Legion, this is the first test model that I did for all of the metal Steel Legion sculpts in the army. There's 60 of them, and then there's 5 plastic Cadian. Well, I'm using it as a platoon command squad, but there's a plastic command squad that I got all the gas masks for, and so we're going to be using the same camo pattern on those guys as well. So we went with a green-based Flecktarn, so it's like a woodland Flecktarn with green, black, brown, light green, and yellow dotting. We use some stippling, some sponging to get how we want it to go. The gloves are a Mechanica Standard Gray. The base coat for the green is Castellan Green. And then we alternated, I believe it's mostly Corvus Black, but I think there's a little bit of Abaddon Black somewhere. I know the base is done with Abaddon Black, but I think all the rest of the blacks on the army or on the models, I think they're also Abaddon Black. I think I switched over to Abaddon Black for this because I was using Corvus Black a lot for the Helldrake that I finished before. But yeah, let's kind of get a couple more angles on this guy. I really enjoyed the process of doing the Flecktarn. So what the way the model was done first is it was all base coated in the Castellan Green. I did a base coat. I shot it through the airbrush. And then I did the stippling effect with the black and the brown. And then I did dotting with the light green and the yellow. And then I went through and did all of the other base coats. And then that's pretty much, the most of the model is just base coats and then a wash. And it all kind of ties it together. And then I did add a little bit of highlights to the top of the grays. And a little bit of edge highlighting here on the chainsword. And a little bit of edge highlighting up top here. But the most of it, because it's hard to edge highlight a camo pattern, which is fine because the camo pattern is supposed to kind of mute and obscure the objects, and so I think it worked out pretty well. And I got the lighting with a little bit of white and black there. That lighting symbol is very small, but we were able to get it done. A couple more angles, keep it all nice and crispy. But yeah, I really like the Flecktarn. I didn't want to do the tan. The tan probably would have looked fine, and it would have been a lot faster to do the tan. But I would have had to, if I would have done the tan, I probably would have had to do some more highlighting with these folds and ridges. I just didn't want to do that. I want to get a little bit of camo. I haven't done camo on guard in a long time, and I think it looks all right. So we finished this one test model, and then I had a small 10-man squad, and so I wanted to get that one knocked out of, and I'll just show you. So one last photo. Pretty good angle on this one. Kind of like this guy. Wish he had something that wasn't a las pistol, but whatever, it's fine. So we have ourselves a 10-man unit or 10-lady unit I'm going to use them as either Scions or Kasrkins. Not 100% sure exactly which one I'm going to use them as. More than likely because their bases are 25mm bases, so they kind of fit Scions better than the Kasrkins. Because Kasrkins are on 28, so either I have to put little base spacers on there so they're on the correct base, they take up the correct amount of base space, or I'll use them as Scions. The only issue with the Scions is the Voxcaster that if you take a Voxcaster in a squad, they're supposed to have a pistol instead of a rifle, and if you see our little Voxcaster lady here, she's got a little rifle. So not sure how I would play that. I would just have to know, however I plan on taking them, I got to take that into account. I could probably 3D print some 25 to 28mm spacers. I just didn't want to rebase them. So, but yeah, so these are from Victoria Miniatures. If you're not familiar, I have used their models in the past. These are one of their newer regiments of regiments of the Galaxy's Finest, and so they have a lot of. When GW used to release a lot of other different sculpts, Filstroyans, Valhallans, Praetorian Guard, Mordian Iron Guard, all those different regiments back in the day that they used to release, and GW stopped releasing them, there are third-party alternatives, and this is one of them. And so I have owned quite a few Victoria Miniatures. I got them over here on the other screen. I've used their Beast Guard, which is their Beastman version. I've used those. I've used their Desert. So if you see my Talarn videos, I've used their Desert Scorpions. And then I've also used their Tannenberg Fusiliers as my Mordian Iron Guard. But these are called Van Diemen's World Devils. They're supposed to be kind of be like if you took Catachans and Australians and stuck them together. That's kind of what you're looking at. And I think they're pretty cool. They look pretty nice. I loaded them out with 2 Flamers and 2 Meltaguns, or kind of what looks like Meltaguns and Flamers. And then the Sergeant was supposed to have a plasma pistol and a power sword. And while I was painting her, she just fell out of my hands. And she was on a plastic painting base, and so she just fell straight to the ground. And it shattered the power sword arm straight off. But I was able to reglue the power sword arm back on, and then it shattered the plasma pistol arm in 2 different places because these are resin. They're kind of they're more of a brittle resin, and I didn't print these. I ordered them from the company and they shipped them to me. But they are their newer kind of I wouldn't say super brittle, but they do 3D print them in more of a because their other sculpts or older sculpts are kind of a little bit softer resin, but still pretty brittle. But they are a resin sculpt, so you do have to be careful with them. And when I dropped them from I was basically up here and dropped them straight down, so I don't know, like 4 feet, 5 feet, whatever. But whenever I dropped it, it just shattered it. I tried to reglue it back together, but it's kind of hard to do that sometimes when you shatter it in a certain way. So I scrounged for the bits box and I found the chainsword arm, but it was on the wrong side, and so I was like, so what I did is I threw the chainsword arm on that side, and then I took the plasma pistol and I kind of carved it out and I put it on her belt. So we'll see that in a little bit. But I'm going to be using these, as either Scions or Castricans, and I think they look pretty cool. Very simple color scheme. So the whole concept, the whole mind concept behind these is that they are the Commissar Yarick, or I started calling him Commissar Darik, just threw the D on there. They're his private bodyguard of whichever Scions or Castricans, and so they always go wherever the Commissar goes. And so here's a couple more angles, and I really like the black and the simple black and red color scheme with the silver. So actually, the lady who is in charge, who runs the Victoria Miniatures company, I believe she is the person who runs the company. Victoria Lamb. She saw these pictures I posted on the community Facebook group, and she said she liked them. She said, "Superb work, beautiful work," and I was just like, "Whew." That's a great thing, when the person who sculpted these models, or who signed off on the sculpt. I'm not sure if she sculpted these herself or if she signed off on them. Either way, I'm not sure who on the team got these models out. But when the person in charge of the company says these models are great, then that really, I was like, oh, awesome. I did put a lot of, I felt like put a lot of work into these, both keeping the color scheme simple and keeping it looking cool. And I thought the idea of a Commissar's personal bodyguard was pretty nice. And so let's move on. A couple more angles. So we have the 2 Flamers, we have the Foxcaster, and the backpack's got some cool little details on them. So we got little grenades here, rolls, and I don't know if there's a little wine bottle back here. Let's see. Oh yeah, you can probably see it from this angle. There's a tiny little koala on one of these. I think it looks cool. And the boots and everything. And then the earth was the ground texture was the same as the Steel Legion model. It's a brown, a wash, and then a light brown, and then a light green. And then I added these tufts, these different flower and grass tufts. And then the last model we finished was so it's called the Kangaroo APC. Victoria Miniatures also sells one of these. Also, this isn't the sponsor for Victoria Miniatures. I just really like their models. And so this one is their Chimera version. It's like how it run as a Chimera. I went with the dual flamers, so flamer turret, flamer hull. You can magnetize these, and they just kind of pop out, and so I magnetized these, but I didn't paint any of the other weapon options. I just kind of went with this one. This one was interesting. I did all black for this one because it's supposed to be the Commissar's Chimera. And then I did a red stripe on this side, red stripe on this side. You'll see it when I do some pictures. And then I did all black. And then I pin washed every rivet and every crease with Agrax Earthshade, because I always use a brown wash when I'm doing tanks. Went with brown across the entire model, and then I did dry brushing of two different grays, kind of building way up. It was a heavy charcoal and then a Mechanica standard gray for the lighter gray. And then I did a dry brush on the tracks of Steel Legion Drab. I dry brushed on the dust. And so take a couple pictures around. And so this is the stripe. I did highlight this. This was I think this was Sanguine Vallejo Air Sanguine Red, but I did highlight it with Mephiston Red, and shot that through an airbrush. I had masking taped this off, and I shot it through an airbrush, and then I had to clean up some overspray, but it looked pretty good. I really like how like the track dust looks. It's nice. And then I didn't really spend a lot of time on the port windows. I did on my other Steel Legion like HQ tank, but I didn't really spend a whole lot of time on like doing the lens flare. I just kind of wanted to kind of get this one done. Yeah, all this like wash look is just putting some Agrax Earthshade in here and kind of letting it drip down. And then we got a little black Commissar red panel on the turret. I wanted them all to be on the same side. But then at one point, because I have when I was doing the airbrushing, because this little lens here is on this side, this little searchlight thing, I couldn't really do this panel red with the airbrush as easily as I wanted to. So I was like, I'll do it on the other side. So I one side. So kind of if you're like in the field and you see this Chimera from like a ways away, you're like, all right, that's the Commissar's one. One, because it's black, but two, because I see the red. It's kind of, thought it looked cool. I didn't, this isn't glued on. This is just kind of sitting on there. It spins around. Yeah, they're different angles. So the whole concept behind this squad is the Commissar is going to ride around in this Chimera with them, and they're double flamers. So they go for objectives, get up to those objectives, and they got the flamers on the two heavy flamers on the tank. They got the two flamers in the squad. They got the two melting guns in the squad. And they just kind of get in there, sit on those objectives, and hold them as much as they can. They got the Commissar there to help them out, keep them inspired, and so I think that might be it. Oh yeah, so right now, as of today, it's been 73 days since I bought a model, and I have 501 unassembled. I got 404 models painted in my whole collection. I got 1,269 nice models assembled but unpainted. So that's where we're at. I don't know if I'm going to move on to getting the Steel Legion tanks done next. Because they are taking up a bit more space on the table, so I might start cranking out the tanks as much as I can, and then save the massed infantry painting, all the camo painting, because a lot of the vehicles I already did base coating and camo. So all I really have to do for the vehicles now is picking out the gubbins and the details, and then doing pin washing and dry brushing. So I might just focus on getting the vehicles all done, which would help free up space on the table, and then move into the infantry. But before the next model that I'm going to paint is going to be the old metal Commissar Yarrick that I have. And yeah. So let's see. That is that for the models to show you, but let's talk a little bit about some Warhammer news. So Adepticon's coming out next week, so hopefully we get some good results from that. I want to know if they're gonna release what that unknown summer army is gonna be for 40K. Some people have said it's gonna be Imperial agents, which would make sense because there's a lot of Imperial agents kill teams and things like that, Imperial Breacher squads, so that would make sense for an Imperial Agents Codex. Some people have hinted at Dark Mechanicus, because we do have, what's his name? The V guy. He's the Chaos guy, I forget his name. Let's see if I can pull him up real quick. I'm so bad with some of these fancy names. Armies of Chaos. I think it's just Armies of Chaos. Vashtor. So we might get a Vashtor faction. That'd be kind of cool. Or we could get something completely different. I don't think we're going to get something like too new, because we have had Historians have been around for a while. Here's my wife sneaking in the back corner. Say hi.
Hi.
It is late at night, so I'm going to try to get this done. But, so we got Adepticon coming out next week, so that'd be cool. But, and as far as I've heard rumors that the Tau Codex was leaked. I haven't watched any of the leaks. I do have a Tau army. It's only a few models in it are painted. But they put on Warhammer Community a couple days ago some changes. I haven't really read a lot about the detachment rules or things like that, but I did notice something is they're bringing back. So instead of having the crisis team data card the way it is right now, they switched to 3 loadout options, so you can get 3 special rules that kind of sort of fit. So we have the old Fire Knife, which is Plasma Gun Missile Pod. We have the Sunforge, which is double fusion, and then we have the Star Scythe, which I don't remember if this was ever a thing, but that one looks like it's burst cannon and flamer. Is that what it is? Yeah. So it's burst cannon and flamer. So what it looks like to me is, and then if you read a little bit further down, it says, "Don't worry if you own crisis suits that have different armaments. The current data sheet will be added to Legends, so you can keep using your more diverse hardpoint combinations if you wish." Which a lot of dedicated Tau players just magnetize all their battle suits, which is, probably what I should have done. But when I built my army, I built the 8 when the 8 were a thing in the 7th, 8th edition codex around there. I built the 8, and then when the codex came out after that, they didn't have the 8 in them. I think they might have been in 9th edition, but I definitely know, no, they took them out of 9th, or maybe they took them out of the second half of 9th, and they definitely weren't in the 10th data sheet. And I don't think we have the 8 in this rule book. But I'm not going to change the loadout for the 8 because I still want to paint up that unit, because I think it's just more of like a from like a lore standpoint, I think the 8 are kind of cool. And then I have a couple commanders, but we don't know what the commander loadout options are. A couple different Cold Star commanders and a couple XV8 commanders with like the Iridium armor upgrade that they could have gotten. I'm not sure if the weapon loadouts are going to be really restrictive for commanders, but I do have a 3-man crisis suit team that's double missile pod. From what it sounds like, there's been some comments asking if like they can take 2 of the same weapon option in the new loadouts, because if Fire Knife is missile pod and plasma gun, is that you have to take a missile pod and a plasma gun, or is Fire Knife only allowed to take missile pods and plasma guns? Because if they can only take missile pods and plasma guns, but you can take 2 plasma or 2 missile, that's cool. That's fine. I don't have to like change my models around. But if you're, and Sunforge to me really sounds like it's just two fusion blasters. Like I don't know what else you would get with the Sunforge combination, because it says Fire Knife battlesuits mix and match plasma rifles and missile pods. There's some verbiage that sounds like you could probably take 2 missile pods or 2 plasma rifles or one or the other. And then the Star Scythe makes it sound like it says burst cannons and flamers. So that kind of leads me to believe that you can either take double flamers or double burst cannons. We're not sure yet until the rulebook comes out. But apparently the rulebook did leak. I didn't really take a look at the leak, so I kind of wanted to wait for the official release before I looked at it. But yeah, and so we do have our Enforcer commanders and Cold Star commanders, but I'm not sure yet what. Oh, never mind. It says it right here. It says retain their own flexible weapon options, so you can outfit them however you would like, so commanders can still take them. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if we're only going to have Enforcer commanders and Cold Star commanders, or if we'll be able to still have the XV88 commander, because you used to be able to take the older battlesuit still as a commander. Not sure. But we'll see. Hopefully I don't have to redo any of my battlesuits. I know I could have magnetized them, but I didn't have that many battlesuits. I didn't really feel like magnetizing them. Plus, we're getting a lot of Kroot. A lot of new Kroot models, new Kroot sculpts in the Tau Empire, so there might be a heavy Kroot focus. Haven't heard anything about new Vespids, so not sure about that. But I think that... aside from that, I've been playing Helldivers 2, Terminator Dark Fate Defiance, and World of Warcraft to various levels. I've been playing those games, kind of like diving in when I have time. Started a college class this week, so that's going to be eating up a lot of free time. So not sure how much gaming I'm going to get, but Helldivers 2 has been really fun. Terminator Dark Defiance is really hard for an RTS, even playing on story mode. I'm not a dedicated RTS player. I haven't done that in a long time. But it is pretty difficult. But it's fun when you kind of figure out how it all works. Army management in that game is very important. So if you're into RTSs and managing different armies from one level to the next level, because your armies progress from level to level, it might be something you want to get into. But Helldivers 2 has been pretty fun, and just watching all the Helldivers 2 memes and everything, it's been really nice. And World of Warcraft, I kind of hopped into that one because I've been kind of missing it for a while. But once I logged in, and I was talking to one of my coworkers because they also still play WoW, and they say when you get to level 70, there's so many things to do. It's hard to understand what you should do. So I'm not sure how much I'm really gonna play the game really dedicated until the next expansion, the War Within expansion, comes out. So we'll see. I do have. There is classic Seasons of Discovery that I could play, but my other plan was just when I have time is to go through and kind of clear out 100% complete some of the older leveling zones and do some of the other side quests that may not be like main content, but go back and do some old stuff. So that'll be cool. Aside from that, I don't really have anything else. Yeah, it's getting warmer around here, so well, that'll be fun. All right, you guys have a good one. See you around. Later.